Okay.
sit right there and tell us, or if you want to stay in, it's up to you.
Well, Kirkwood has a failing on-site system that was built 35 years ago. And when we developed and we built the sewer system off right behind the UPS overnight facility, which is right behind Floyd Bradford Road, the address is 1696 Floyd Bradford is right behind the UPS. We approached Kirkwood and see what their needs were for sewer. And they wanted to get onto a sewer system because of what I like to call a volatile situation, because their plant's 10 feet off the river, which is in a floodplain. They weren't approved for a permit to be on that particular system. They were grandfathered in over time, but the requirements were not met over time. And it provided an opportunity for me to get my foot in the door and a way to get a force main, potentially trunk line out there to potentially serve other projects to help potentially get a line infrastructure, complete infrastructure out Ratliff Road and towards that undeveloped area and in Irondale basically. And they agreed to do if we could get some help in the financial realm. So basically what I've done is loaded a sewer rate that includes the debt service into that rate, and they've agreed to do that with all of our help. And as y'all know, we have a franchise agreement with the City of Irondale, which I'm hoping to come talk to y'all about today as well, to discuss how that is kind of built into that rate. I believe I talked a little briefly about that in the work session last time I was up here, and Kirkwood has agreed to do that. And the city would get a benefit in 3 different ways. One, the infrastructure would obviously be complete and the areas will be able to serve and land best utilized for development out that way. 2, as part of the franchise agreement, there's 2 different financial structures. One where city gets a share of the impact fee that Kirkwood pays, which is a total of $45,000. And then the second financial benefit is their sewer fees over time. You get a 3% trailer off of each sewer bill that's paid each month by Kirkwood.
City's gonna get 45,000 for, is that the hookup?
Yes, sir. It's a connection fee. Yes, sir.
All right, and then 3% per month?
Off of their sewer fees. Yes, sir.
And my understanding from your original proposal is that Kirkwood has basically agreed to pay their sewer fee plus an additional amount that would be equal to make any loan or bond payment that we incur.
Correct.
And I also gather that both you and Kirkwood are willing to sign an agreement stating if should either one of you for any reason go out of business or change ownership, then the city would be owed the full amount of that loan at that time. And to state that should you ever go into bankruptcy, either one of you, that debt would be reaffirmed rather than attempted to be discharged.
If they don't pay their sewer bill and their water gets cut off, that's just kind of storm. I've got to treat their sewer whether they pay the money or not. That's just how our industry operates. So, I mean, your first 3 payments coming out are going to be power and water and sewer, basically, because I've got to treat it whether or not. And if they can't pay their water bill, then I have to turn their water off.
But what I said was basically
Yes, sir.
correct.
Yes, sir.
We go ahead and finance it. Okay.
How much will you need financing?
Right now, it's getting to about $680,000.
680.
Yes, sir.
How far does that go in there?
That would go to Ratliff Road up almost to the corner of the bend of the river right beyond Kirkwood.
And that does open up the possibility for a lot of undeveloped land to the west side and behind Kirkwood,
Yes.
too, if you were extended that far.
Basically anything Pine Tree, my directions get a little confused that way, so forgive me if I say it incorrectly, but Pine Tree up to I-20, there's 500 some odd acres, and I've talked to all the landowners out that way beyond Kirkwood that I know their willingness to sell and then try to get development out that way. That's their intent. And then you have anything south, Pine Tree and south to Grants Mill Road, There's another about 500 acres, if you include Pine Tree, I think, if you include Pine Tree in that as well, because I've understood that they were potentially for sale a couple of years ago as well. Be a way for the city to benefit off of this line in the future as an investment in the ground. And I think it's a win-win for all parties.
What do you anticipate the 3% per month would total to the city?
It's, for Kirkwood's, it's about $130 a month. It ends up being a little under $2,000 a year. But that's just one customer. We do that with all of our customers currently. That's the franchise fee.
Do you have, Lanier, do you have the rate structure or proposal? Do you
Yes,
have
sir.
a hard copy for all the council people? Just so we can get a visual.
It's on page 3.
Thank you.
And I apologize, you probably have already stated it, probably somebody have already said something about it. I'm really concerned, I know we've spoken about it before, I'm concerned about the city's liability.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I would feel more safe if there's not any liability on the city as far as having to repay, whatever kind of financing that we go through. We've been in one situation where everybody knows it's trendy. We had to go to court. Business is business, and from the city standpoint, I want to try to protect our interests. If anything happens, which anything could happen, so from a liabilities perspective, where is that in the contract? Which I haven't read all of it, but
This is not a contract with Kirkwood.
well, an agreement.
Right.
I'm sorry. Agreement. Where
Right.
liability doesn't fall on us as a city if the note is not paid or whatever.
Well, I think that can be arranged in whatever negotiations we do with y'all in Kirkwood in terms of if we get to that point, if the city's willing to go forward on that. I can understand your concern in that regard, but on the other hand, we're not a speculative real estate. This is an existing customer that's been there for 30 years, and it's a utility they're paying, not real estate taxes or anything that's just a raw land someone's paying on a month. They're actual residents and tenants at this place that pay for the utilities that go into the payment back to the city, if that makes any comfort at all to y'all. And, I'm willing to sit down, have Mr. Ashley, as president of Kirkwood, come sit down with any and all of y'all to discuss further if we need to go that route too. But they're in a tough spot. These rain events in the past month or two has gotten close to making them in a real tough spot. And it's a way for us to take a liability off of them and have an investment into an area that would make Irondale grow as well.
And do you know, just off the top of your head, what the value of their real property is there?
Kirkwood,
Yeah.
there's 130 acres and they've got that building, I would say
It's about
$5 million.
That's what I was gonna say, it's about $5 million, isn't it?
I'm sure that they have a recent, because I think they just did a refinancing of that, was it SCAFA?
They did, because we helped them through the SCAFA committee that we set up in getting that low interest loan.
I'm sure did they have to do an appraisal during that method?
They probably did, but after the SCAFA committee here approved it, it would have went directly to the people they were borrowing from rather than from us, since we didn't guarantee anything that's recommended.
Well, they should have something on record there.
Yeah,
so
they should.
I could potentially ask for that.
I'm
request
thinking it's
that.
I agree with the mayor, I think it's in the $5 million range, best I can remember. But in any case, there's more than sufficient real property assets to cover the cost should they encounter difficulty.
I can't speak on
say
their
anything
tongue,
on
I can't
that.
say speak on their, I can't speak on their behalf, but I would think so,
Right.
yes, sir. Because they have raw land that's already got roads and they've got curb and gutter up there on the top of the
Mhm.
hill.
Yeah.
And they've got land, 130 acres. I know that I've talked to those guys in depth. I believe the mayor has too. I mean, they've got people looking at their property.
So what are they trying to do in that back part, Kirkwood? Because you go up to Kirkwood
Right.
and go, there's already a road already finished around there.
They were gonna build homes up there, John,
Uh-huh.
and I'll tell you what happened. At that time, Kirkwood wasn't in the city, and some of that land out there was not in the city also. And Birmingham, Waterworks was making them put it into a watershed, and you couldn't have a septic tank up there. So since they couldn't have a septic tank on a third of an acre, they had to back out of the plan. But now it's in Irondale, and Irondale has the water resources to go out there, just right up the road from them. And now that don't stand, it comes under our control instead of Birmingham Waterworks control on that.
To piggyback a little bit on what he said, in order to put a septic tank in, you gotta reserve so much land on a platted out piece of property for a house with a septic tank. With the sewer line up that way, you have the highest and best use of just maximizing the land use of those particular platted out properties. I was told it didn't perk up there either, so I don't think septic tanks would work up that way as well. Which basically that's when the water goes back into the soil after it comes out of a septic tank.
Right.
But Neil, we had talked about some fee, upfront fee that Kirkwood has to pay. And I heard you say $2,000 a year.
Right, the impact fee, the connection fee, that's part of our franchise agreement as well.
Did you tell them about that?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
can you kind of elaborate on the impact fee?
Basically, an impact fee, a lot of people think it's a profit generation for us. In actuality, it's utilized to build out, I just kind of explained on my end first. It's used to build out our system as it grows. We hope to grow with Irondale. We're here to be with y'all and be partners with y'all. Part of the and we've made the investment, and part of the franchise fee when we initially came here was that city would get benefit off of the growth. So, as it was originally intended on the franchise agreement, Irondale would get $450 per what is called a residential unit, which is basically like a 3 or 4 bedroom house. That's based on a water usage model, and it was $450. And Kirkwood was the equivalent of 100 residential units, so $450 times 100 is $45,000. So each new house that comes on board, you would get that. I've changed that a little bit in my proposed franchise where it's increased to
$525.
per house.
Is it 540?
$540 per home.
Yeah,
Okay.
540.
And there are different categories for different areas of development, ranging from commercial to institutional down there as well. So hopefully, I would like for the city council to understand that, and in order for them to understand when things do come on board, that they could say the same thing without necessarily someone having to call me as well, because we're here to help y'all grow. I know that y'all want to grow. And basically, if 100 homes, 100 3-bedroom homes comes into the development, that would be another $45,000 to the city.
I, understand the rates. I see the commercial and industrial rates on retail and office space for every 1,000 square feet. It's not much difference in the FD rate that I see on here. Could we kind of discuss that and look at that again? For retail and office space?
Are we talking about the impact rate or
Yeah,
the fee?
This is the fee,
The sewer charges?
yes. These are where it says,
On the payment to Irondale?
yeah, as far as payment to Irondale, I'm sorry, yes. Payment to Irondale, with it being commercial and industrial.
Okay. Sure, we can discuss that. Is it in your
I don't
mind?
think it'll be any zoning for that, in that new development, but I'm just talking about in general, where commercial buildings or industrial have already tapped on to the sewer line, so. But
Currently, well,
how many we have on here right now?
commercial,
Yeah.
1, Motion Industries.
What's the fee on that?
Well, that we already gave the city their impact fee. That was, they tied on back in October 2011.
$13,000 was the impact fee, we got a fee of $13,000.
13,000?
I think it ended up being about 14,700.
Close to 14.
Okay. Okay.
But also in this franchise, if I can go, keep
Yeah, go
going.
ahead.
Also in this franchise agreement, we're based on a flat fee model right now, and we've changed it up to a consumption model, which is more fair. If people use more water, that we've got to treat more sewer. And normally they were supposed to give us their water bills each year, but that's just too cumbersome for people. So we've gone in and done the rates on a consumption-based module, and if anyone has any questions on that, I don't know what else maybe I could provide as information on that end as well. But if anyone has any questions with those numbers, I'll be certainly happy to answer any and all, and please call me anytime.
Okay.
Well, I have a question because, and I think I've asked you this before, if you're a viable company and Kirkwood by the River is a viable company and it's going to benefit you and them, why are we involved? I mean, why should we accept the liability, possibly the headache, if we had to go to litigation? If you were to fail, or Kirkwood by the River were to fail, and let's face it, in this economy, nothing is for certain. And when I hear you say, oh, there's hundreds of acres, and possibly, maybe, surely, if it were developed, well, we've gone on those assumptions before, and you know where that landed us.
Right.
And so, I just need to have more information about why you're asking the city of Irondale to take out a bond for something that is gonna benefit you, which is a private company.
Donna, let me help answer you on some of that. And how it's gonna benefit the city of Irondale is whenever Price Hightower gets through building, it's got very few lots. I went over there today and looked, very few lots left. We don't have any building going on. It opens that area up over there for somebody like Price Hightower to go in there and develop that land and build homes on it. And how we benefit from it is $450 to $540 every time you hook on to a home. That comes straight to the city. That's, if you have 100 homes, that's a lot of money. And if you've got the thousands of acres it's over there, nobody's gonna develop until they get a sewer, and Jefferson County is not coming out there. It would take millions of dollars to get that developed through Jefferson County. And it just opens up more than 500 acres out there for us. It opens up that whole area all the way to Overton. And we will eventually get our money back from the people that would go up there and build homes on it. And every time you hook on, $540. And that mounts up if you've got 100.
Tap on,
In that area up there, you could build 1,000 homes or more with the amount of land that's up there.
And I think you're right.
Phoenix gonna make payments on the bonds monthly or yearly or however they do?
Whatever y'all need us to do, it's gonna be paid each month by Kirkwood, so just if we're a conduit straight to the city, or if we need to remit straight, I don't know how that would work.
Is Kirkwood going to make the bond payment or Phoenix gonna make the bond payment?
That's just however we wanna organize
Yeah.
that. In terms, they give us the cash and we pay the bond payment, or we go send it in escrow. If it's a 6-month thing with however bonds, or however that gets
I
organized.
think a lot of these questions would have to be,